I used to have a nightmare that haunted me from the age of 6 until I was almost 10. It wasn't just any nightmare. It felt like something more, something that clung to me even when I was awake. Every time it happened, it would start the same way. I'd feel weightless, like I had drifted out of my body. I'd find myself floating just beneath the ceiling of my own bedroom, looking down at myself sleeping. I could see everything clearly, the way the sheets were twisted around my legs, the nightlight cast, but the clock wasn't normal. It always ticked backward. The red numbers would count down, second by second, as if time itself was unravel. On the walls were crayon drawings I never remembered making. People drawn like stick figures, holding hands in a circle in front of a small house with a blue roof. Sometimes there were new drawing. The most chilling detail, though, was the toy train. It had gone missing when I was 3. My parents assumed I'd lost it at the park. But in these dreams, it would show up, first on the shelf, then on the floor, then at the foot of my bed. And he stood outside my bedroom window, barely visible at first. He had short, silver gray hair, and there was something wrong with the left side of his face, a deep cut or scar across his temple. He never said a word, but he would slowly raise his hand and press it to the glass, and then scratch. Not violently, almost like he was patiently waiting. For years, I kept this to myself. I didn't want to sound crazy. But after the 4th or 5th time, I couldn't take it anymore. I told my parents. They were quiet, too quiet. My dad said it was just a bad dream, but he kept glancing at my mom, like they knew something they weren't saying. After that, the dreams stopped for almost a year. I thought I'd grown out of it. But when they came back, something had changed. This time, in the dream, the window was open. I could hear the wind, smell the night air, and I couldn't move. I was frozen, locked inside my own body. I felt like something was standing just outside the frame of vision, just out of reach, watching me. I began trying to prepare for sleep, almost like gearing up for battle. I told myself, "You know it's coming. You can get through it." That helped. A little. Then one night, after another dream, I asked my parents if they remembered anyone named Brian. Their faces went pale. My mom hesitated, then said, "Brian was a friend. From when you were very little. He used to help watch you when I was at work." I asked what happened to him. "There was an incident," my dad said quietly. "He crossed some lines. We cut all contact after that." Then my mom added something that made my skin crawl. He had a scar on his forehead, left side. I froze. I hadn't told them about the man's scar. My dad later said maybe the dreams were a repressed memory, something I saw or felt when I was too young to understand, now bubbling back to the surface. Then one night, I woke from the usual dream and saw movement outside my rear window. A flicker, a silhouette. I screamed. My parents rushed in. My dad said he went outside and saw faint footprints in the dirt below the window. They told me they called the police, but I don't think they did. I think they were afraid of what they'd find. I never saw Brian again. But to this day, I wonder, were those dreams just dreams? Or was someone, or something, trying to come back? When I was 13, I spent the night at my best friend Duncan's house. We'd grown up together, same street, same school, even played on the same soccer team since we were kids. Sleepovers were routine for us, just video games, snacks, and staying up way too late. But that particular night was different, and I didn't realize just how different until it was too late. We'd been playing games until nearly midnight before crashing in our sleeping bags in the living room. Duncan was out cold in minutes. I dozed off shortly after, but that night I had a dream unlike anything I'd ever experienced. In the dream, I was alone on a small sailboat drifting through a vast, dark ocean. The sky above was a heavy sheet of gray clouds, and the air felt thick, almost suffocating. The waves were getting rougher, tossing the boat back and forth like a toy. I could hear the wind howling, the wood of the mast creaking as I clung to it with white-knuckled fists. I was terrified. And then I saw it. Something moving in the water ahead. A shape cutting through the waves, coming closer. It was a dolphin. At first, I felt relief. It was beautiful, and for a moment, I forgot I was dreaming. But then it surfaced, turned toward me, and locked eyes with mine, and that's when it spoke. Wake up. Not shouted, not whispered, just calm. Stern. A voice that didn't match the creature's form. Almost human, but distorted, like hearing someone underwater. I bolted upright in my sleeping bag, gasping. Everything was dark and quiet at first. But then I heard it. The unmistakable sound of running water. Not a drip, a rush, like someone had left a faucet fully open. It was coming from upstairs. I assumed maybe someone in Duncan's family had gotten up to use the bathroom, but then I remembered his parents were out of town visiting relatives. We were alone in the house. Still half dazed, I got up and climbed the stairs slowly. The closer I got to the bathroom, the more uneasy I felt. The door was slightly open, and inside I could see steam billowing out into the hallway like smoke. The mirror was fogged up. The hot water had clearly been running for a while, overflowing from the sink and forming a puddle that reached my bare feet. But no one was supposed to be in there. I froze. That's when the feeling hit me, that deep, primal sensation that something is wrong. Every hair on my arm stood up. I couldn't explain it, but it felt like someone was watching me. Not just watching, waiting. I didn't step inside. I didn't call out. I just turned and rushed back down the stairs. "Duncan," I whispered urgently, shaking him awake. "Something's not right upstairs." He sat up groggily, but before he could respond, we both heard a sound. Heavy, wet footsteps coming down the stairs. Slowly. Then we saw him. A man appeared at the foot of the stairs, soaking wet, clothes clinging to him like he'd stepped out of a storm. His face was pale, his eyes locked onto Duncan like he already knew who he was. In his right hand, he held a piece of PVC pipe. He didn't speak. He just raised the pipe and lunged toward us. Duncan stumbled backward in shock. I moved instinctively, grabbing the nearest object, a throw pillow of all things, and threw it at the guy, just enough to break his stride. We both screamed. The man hesitated, turned, and bolted out the back door like he knew exactly where he came in. We called the police immediately. They arrived within minutes. The officers checked the house and confirmed that the back window in the laundry room had been left unlocked. That's likely how he got in. But here's the strange part. Nothing was taken. Not Duncan's game console, not the laptop, not even the wallet on the kitchen table. One of the officers even asked, "Are you sure this wasn't someone you knew?" We weren't. The next day, one of Duncan's neighbors mentioned something chilling. A man had been sitting in a parked car across the street earlier that week. Same car, same time, every afternoon. They thought maybe it was a friend of the family. But none of us recognized the description. We never found out who he was. The police never identified him, and he was never caught. But what still haunts me the most isn't the fact that he broke in, or that he attacked Duncan. It's the dream, the voice, that dolphin's eyes, that single phrase still echoing in my mind. Wake up. Like something or someone knew what was coming and tried to warn me.